fellow figure skating fans and friends. My name is Justin, if you don't already know, also known as Justin Lambchop on Twitter, and I'm excited to be here today to make the video covering the 2016 Grand Prix Final competition in France. I apologize that 2 weeks ago I was not able to make a recap video covering NHK, but that happened over Thanksgiving weekend and I was still sick. So I do apologize. I hope you all forgive me, but I am feeling 100% better now and had time to catch up on the Grand Prix Final, and it was such an exciting competition to watch with a lot of shocks and surprises and unexpected finishes from the athletes. So I want to talk about all of that in this video here. We'll start with the men's discipline, and I want to highlight Nathan Chen, US skater, and his free program where he blew everyone away. I could not believe my eyes when I was watching his free program because he completed 4 different quad jumps in the beginning of his program. We could count them all. Quadlets in combination with quad toe, quad flip, quad toe, and quad salchow. Oh my gosh, who is this kid? He is so amazing. It's just nice to see him finally deliver that difficult long program cleanly at an international competition. And we have to remember, this is still his first year as a senior competitor on an international scene. We've all known of Nathan Chen locally, but he's had some setbacks in his rise because he's dealt with injury after injury every few years, it seems like. So I hope he's really smart with his training so that he can avoid any costly injuries in the future. But I remember watching his free program live, and I was just silent. I was in shock with my eyes wide open and my jaw open just because I was expecting him to fall for some reason. It's such a difficult program to execute. High risk, high reward. I did not think his reward was going to be so grand as a silver medal, barely beating out Shoma Uno for that second place finish overall. Let's see, what else can we talk about his program? He had a huge tech score of 113, and if you want to compare that to some of the other men, their tech score for the long program was about 90. So it makes sense that Nathan was heavily rewarded in the tech score. Conversely, in the program component marks, he was lagging. I believe he had second to the lowest program component marks for the men in the long program, just barely edging over Adam Rippon. I believe his was an 84, while most of the other men received about 90 to low 90s for their program component marks. And you know what? That doesn't upset me because I think that's fair. Nathan also shouldn't be upset with those scores because it's only the beginning. He has time and room to grow. And when I watch his skating, I think he has the core essentials to improve on his artistry. Absolutely. I just think that this year the main focus is on the technical elements. And not only did he do all of his difficult jumps, but he received positive grade of execution marks on every single element. And I looked at the protocols, and the combined total for his GOE alone was about 12 points. That's worth the same amount as a quad flip. So the key is not to just attempt the difficult elements, but to do them well and get rewarded. Another skater who benefited from positive GOE was Shoma Uno from Japan. I think it was so amazing that he was able to win the bronze medal here. I also think he had a standout moment in the long program. He's really coming into his own and becoming an overall well-packaged skater. I almost want to compare him to a show skater because he owned his choreography in that long program and in the short program as well. He was able to stay clean while the other men faltered, also performing that quad flip, which is now a pretty consistent jump for him. Grade of execution on that quad flip for Shoma Uno is not as great as Nathan Chen's, but that's just me being nitpicky. It's still such a difficult element to complete, and he was the first one to complete it. So I'm glad that he's able to continue executing it very clean in his programs regularly. Let's see here. He barely lost the silver medal to Nathan Chen. So it was so close. But being on the podium, I think, is a great accomplishment for Shoma Uno. It shows that both Nathan and Shoma, if they skate clean, they have a chance at winning medals and titles if the top three men, top three meaning Yuzuru, Patrick, and Javier, makes mistakes. Now, very great for Shoma. Big confidence booster for these young guys this weekend at the Grand Prix Final. And I'd have to say the main difference between Shoma and Nathan, why Shoma didn't place a little higher, it was just the level of difficulty on the jumps. Plain and simple. Okay, now let's revert back and talk about the man who won the Grand Prix Final for the fourth time in his career, Japanese skater, reigning Olympic champion, Yuzuru Hanyu. Good accomplishment for him. His skates were actually not bad. He just left some points on the table. He did enough in the short program to allow only placing third in the free, but still winning the competition. Let's start with the short program. I'd have to say that was the best short I've seen him skate this season, scoring 106, so really high, not quite up to his world record of around 110, but still a great score and skate. He managed to land the quad loop, was leaning really heavily forward in the short program, but he got the rotation, just received some negative creative execution points. But I'd say that his overall performance in that pink bodysuit was really fun. I saw commitment, I saw engagement with the audience, and I saw performance. And that is something that the audience wants to see when Yuzuru Hanyu skates, especially when he skates with the clean program. And that was really great of Hanyu. His long program, I felt the performance was dialed back a little bit. I saw him looking down. He looked a little tentative, almost like he was skating safe, but he did what he had to do to still win. Some of his mistakes were, popping the lutz at the end of the program was not good, and then falling on, I believe it was the second quad Salchow of his long program. Otherwise, he did attempt 4 quads as well as Nathan Chen did. But popping the lutz and falling on a jump does leave room for other skaters to move ahead. But overall, Yuzuru Hanyu is the champion. That was great. Now let's shift over to the men who were in podium position after the short program, but fell off. I want to first discuss Javier Fernandez. Big surprise that he didn't end up on the podium here. I'd say he was not skating at his best technically, and I think it affected his performance. And the short program definitely had an issue with his quad combination, and then falling on the triple axel was pretty surprising. And then the long program, opening up your intended quad toe to be a triple is such a big deal because you lose so many points in base value alone. I believe the difference in base value is 6 points when you turn a quad toe into a triple toe. So big loss there. And then a few of his landings looked really tight. Didn't receive as low GOE marks as I thought he would have. So that was shocking, and I believe that he was gifted in program component marks because I don't think his performance was at the same level as at the World Championships when he won in Boston. But hopefully this is a learning experience for him. He shouldn't be too upset about being fourth. At least it makes sense he had errors. It wasn't like he was clean and finished fourth. If anything, I'm glad that Nathan and Shoma exist so they can challenge the top guys later on this season. Next up, we have Patrick Chan from Canada. Now, even though he did not skate well in the long program, he finished 5th overall. I kept thinking in my mind when I watched him skate his short and long that he's such a beautiful skater. That's all I can take away. The mistakes he had in the long program, he fell 3 times, and unfortunately, he got 4 deductions because of the new rule. So the last fall he had was a -2. You can't help but still notice the beautiful part of his skating, the choreography. The spin positions are gorgeous, the gliding. I just can talk about Patrick. He's become one of my favorite skaters to watch these days just because of his core skating ability. Love his new sweater too. It creates a great new look for his long program. I'm a fan of the sweater. The short program actually was the highlight for Patrick Chan, as he was completely clean, scored 99 points with just one quad attempt. It was beautiful. Loved that short program. And then last up in the men's field here at the Grand Prix Final was US skater Adam Rippon. Adam should just be proud that he qualified for the Grand Prix Final. This is a big deal for him after winning 2 bronze medals on the Grand Prix circuit this season. Unfortunately, this was not his competition. In the short program, he opted to skip out on the quad to go for a clean program, and unfortunately, that only works when you're completely clean. He had a wonky landing on his triple axel, and then the triple toe on his flip toe combination was called under rotated. So in this case, it backfired for Adam. Had he been clean, he probably could have been up to 4th place after the short program, but that was not the case. The long program also was definitely a struggle. Just not a clean Adam, went for the quad, fell on the quad toe attempt. What was unfortunate about Adam Rippon in the long program was that he did not maximize what he's great at, which is his artistry and performance, because that's how he can score really big points in his long program. Because he made some costly errors, I felt that that affected his performance, and in return, his program component marks were lower here than in his last Grand Prix, which was in France. Let me see, I wrote it down here. His PCS dip from France was about 4 points. He received 87 for his long program in France for PCS, whereas he only received 83 points here in the Grand Prix Final. So that makes a difference. Adam in the future, I believe that if he makes mistakes but still sells the program, that can keep him in contention, and especially if he's in a competition with a deep field. At Worlds, a few points, 4 points, can make a difference. So I hope he takes the time off before Nationals to really train, and I think he could still be in contention for making that world team at Nationals, after Nationals. Now let's move on to the ladies' discipline. I want to talk about the highlight of the long program for me, which was by Japanese skater Satoko Miyahara to win the silver medal overall. I think she had her moment in the free program, such commitment to the choreography, and skated with abandonment, and she was so free, skated outward and big and out towards the audience for someone with such a small stature. Super fast across the ice, faster than I've ever seen her skate before, with quick rotation on the jumps as we're used to. And the girl knows how to receive the highest levels on all of her spins, as well as the step sequence, receiving a level 4. I'd say this is a big accomplishment for her, winning the silver medal, landing on the podium with a big score of 143. Satoko is not one that's always judged nicely by the judges, as some of the other girls are at competition. So it must feel really rewarding for her to end up right behind Evgenia Medvedeva here at the Grand Prix Final. I'd actually say I love both of her programs. The short program, she reminded me of a small sparkling firefly because of her sparkly outfit. But I'd say she owned her performances here at the Grand Prix Final, and she, I think, is the favorite Japanese lady heading into the remaining international competitions of this season. So 4 continents and worlds. The Japanese lady to beat is Satoko Miyahara, especially at nationals. So we'll see how she compares to Mao in popularity in the future in her country and at international competitions. And then I want to talk about Anna Pogorilaya, who won the bronze medal here. Anna, I love Anna, especially this season when she's consistent, when she doesn't have those catastrophic falls. However, she did not skate to her best ability performance-wise in this competition. The jumps were fine. A few years ago, I used to say that Anna Pogorilaya showed up with her secret weapon, which was the triple Lutz, triple toe combination, because she does it so clean. Nowadays, that's not enough when you have so many other great technicians in the ladies' field. So she gave up on her performance a little bit. I saw her looking down, looking more tentative. She wasn't as strong in her landings on all of her jumps, but she was, for the most part, technically clean. I think that's a lesson for her. Hopefully she can see the protocols, that she has to keep the performance up. And speaking of performance, the next skater, Caitlyn Osmond from Canada, definitely had a performance of her life, I would say, in the short program at the Grand Prix Final here. She placed second behind Evgenia with a total score of 75. This is huge for Caitlyn Osmond. She, as well as Satoko, was extremely fast across the ice with quick rotations on her jumps, great height, clean landings, really playing along with her choreography, really delving into her programs. However, in the long program, she started off pretty okay. The one tiny error that I saw was that she opened up her triple toe to be a double toe at the end of the double axel, which was a good decision. But then she had a pop towards the end of the program, and that kind of let it all go. She was not bad in the long program at all. I've seen Caitlyn Osmond make many more mistakes in her free programs. However, when you're up against a tight field of such talented ladies, you have to be completely clean. So this is probably a good experience for Caitlyn Osmond. I'm not sure if she expected to land on the podium. I sure wanted her to. But I think this can help her become more consistent when she's competing against top level ladies more often. So I think this is just the beginning of Caitlyn. I think when she finally puts together a completely clean short and long, that she's going to be a threat for the podium, because she chooses really good programs that you can tell she likes and she commits to. So kudos to her team for always coming up with good programs that she enjoys. She always looks like she's having fun out there. Now let me take a few steps back and talk about the winner of this competition from Russia, Evgenia Medvedeva. As we all know, she is such a respected athlete for being so dominant in the sport. She's almost like a robot. She does what she needs to do to win. As much as we like to criticize her for her style, because her programs aren't really my taste, but should she really change anything? Is there incentive for her to change when she's already being rewarded by the judges so much? I believe she had her best total score ever at this competition. That's very debatable, but what's not is how great of an athlete she is. Now, I am running out of things to say about Evgenia because she's winning all of the events that I'm covering, so I'm going to have to quote some things that my friends said. So you all know my friends Kanishka and Josh Kennan. Everyone loves those two. They're so knowledgeable with skating, way more than I am, so I had to ask their opinion. And they actually said that her artistry is a little too theatrical and can be seen as forceful as opposed to natural artistry, like someone like Yuna Kim. And I actually agree with what they said as well. And despite a minor mistake, she still got a season's best. And I'm not sure if a lot of people believes that she deserves that. I definitely questioned that decision by the judges. How can you receive your best score of the season when it was one of the few times you made a technical error? Maybe that's politics coming into play, but I agree with her winning. I actually do, but it's the points that I'm contesting a little bit. But long programs, very haunting music. The voiceovers are excessive. And Josh Kennan actually mentioned this, but maybe he or all of us skating fans would enjoy her long program more if she had experienced a loss, because then she would be portraying the choreography and the music differently on the ice. But right now, for how young she is and for her not experiencing a loss, that kind of shows to the audience. So maybe imagine someone like, I don't know, Joanne Rochette skating to something as powerful of a piece as this 9/11 program for Evgenia. That's just something to think about. But Evgenia Medvedeva from Russia is ruling the scene this season. And I'm trying to find more positive and different things to say about her. So you all need to help me out. But I do respect her as an athlete. So let's move on to the pairs next, really quickly. So we have Evgenia Tarasova and Vladimir Morozov, and they are looking to be the number one Russian pair team right now, with some of the other top pairs sitting out temporarily. You may remember in my last few videos, I said that they don't excite me, I don't love watching them. And while that is true, I actually found them a little more exciting here this weekend. And I don't know why. Like, they're not an exciting pair, but they're growing on me. They don't make me feel deep emotions. I'm not totally engaged in their programs, but I'm not as disengaged as I was in the past. Maybe they're committing to their choreography more, potentially. Maybe they're having a little more fun. I love their show program. I love that upbeat music. Interesting music choice for the free program, though. But they got the job done, and I'm actually really proud of them. It must be so difficult to follow in the footsteps of other great Russian pair skaters. And they held their own. But a pair team that I did connect with was Xiaoyu Yu and Hao Zhang, the Chinese pair who won the silver medal here at the Grand Prix Final. Now, I love this new pairing. I think it's taken Xiaoyu a little more time to adjust to the switch, but I can see she's growing into this new partnership. I just think they're a great match. The connection on the ice, I love the music selections that they skate to. It's so romantic, and I'm a hopeless romantic, so that's why I'm a big fan of their skating. Their long program ended on not a high note, not such a high note, because they had an invalidated spin on the pair spin. The spin was traveling, and then also she fell on the last position. So that was not a good way to end your program to the judges. They still have some kinks to work out in their long program, but I think they're headed in the right track. Maybe they can make a big splash at Worlds or Four Continents with a completely clean program in both the short and the long. Now, to end the pair segment of my video, let's talk about the Canadian pair, Meagan Duhamel and Eric Radford. Quite a difficult competition for them. They struggled on their elements in both the short and the long, and it just wasn't their day. I'm not too worried about them because Meagan and Eric are such strong competitors. At least the errors that they made were on the most difficult elements. I'm not worried about it at all. I think they're going to come back strong and analyze their programs. I'm not sure if they really felt any pressure at the Grand Prix final. I don't think so. So I think whatever was making them make those costly errors was internal for them. So they can go back home to Canada and reflect on what they need to do to perform to their best ability next time. But I wouldn't count them out for a world medal again. And now it's time to wrap up this video with discussion on ice dance. Now, I was able to watch ice dance live, thankfully, this weekend, but I am not going to be commenting on actual programs because I'm not the person to do that. I would sound like someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, but I will discuss the results. So Tessa and Scott from Canada winning the Grand Prix Final in France up against the French. So I think that says a lot about how they are going to be placed for the rest of the season. I think Tessa, Virtue, and Scott Moir are the dance team to beat right now. And I agree with that. I love their short dance to Prince. It's my favorite short dance of this season. I think they execute it really well, and they do some really difficult elements. Twizzles are looking fabulous as well. Now, the free dance, and I'm going to be honest, actually, none of the free dances by the top teams this year really grab me because a lot of them are more soft and lyrical pieces, and I tend to like more upbeat pieces of music. So I have a hard time connecting with most of the free dances, but it's skated really well. In second place here, the French Papadakis and Cizeron. Surprisingly, a little behind Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir. I believe that when they skate with Tessa and Scott in a competition, they tend to be more reserved and struggle a little more. Cizeron made some errors, 2 errors in the short dance, which I think were costly, and then they did not perform as freely as I'm used to seeing them in the free dance here. So hopefully they're going to have to learn how to not be affected by competition from Tessa and Scott, especially at Worlds and even next year leading into the Olympics. They still have a chance to win the Olympics. It's not Tessa's and Scott's to lose just yet. And then in third place, we have a beautiful surprise finish for Alex and Maia Shibutani. Very beautiful free dance. They are such great technical skaters, beautiful edges, lovely posture, great partnership between those two. I'm so proud of them. Go Team USA. And then other dance pairs to talk about, I'd say Maddie and Zach. I think it is Madison, Hubbel, and Zach Donohue had my favorite free dance of the entire competition. Love not only the music selections, but how they connect with the music, how they connect with each other. Even some of their elements were really impressive. I'm surprised their program component marks were not higher than they actually were. But kudos to them for such a great performance and also beating out fellow teammates Madison Chock and Evan Bates. That's going to play an interesting role going into nationals. However, when they beat Madison and Evan, it was because they had some major errors. Madison fell a few times in this competition. So that was some interesting things to note, but I am following ice dance now, guys, so it's fun. I'm not at the level where I want to talk about it a whole bunch, but if you all want to leave comments and let me know what you think, I would love to engage with you all. Thank you again for watching my video. Sorry my video was kind of choppy today. I was not on my best in terms of speaking, so I had to cut out a lot of clips where I lost my words. But it's the end of Grand Prix season. I can't believe it. 6 weeks always flies by so quickly every year. But my next videos will be some prediction videos on different national championships, and I'm so excited to do those with some of my other friends. So stay tuned for those videos. Thank you for watching today, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.